What is up, my friends? It is Sunday evening. You're all very welcome along to the late night agenda. Yes, I know it was supposed to be my day off, but I keep telling you, I'm terrible at taking days off. I like to come on and chat with you guys in the evening time, so here I am. And we have a load to go through today. There was a part that I forgot to mention last night, and I don't believe I forgot to mention this, by the way, but there was a report yesterday that came out of the Netherlands that said that the contracts were signed yesterday on Saturday for Arne Slot. Now, I don't know if this is correct or not, but it's been reported by a few places, but it does seem to stem from the Netherlands. So we'll discuss that tonight, and we'll discuss everything else that we want to go through. And of course, we'll be talking about the title of tonight's stream. We'll be talking about the situation with Mohamed Salah and everything else, because it's a Liverpool news show. Right, how are we all doing? And welcome in, by the way, to everyone that is joining us tonight. I hope you had a lovely weekend. I know the football wasn't what we hoped yesterday morning or yesterday afternoon with the Reds, but you know, it is what it is at this point. Arsenal won the North London derby today. It was a hectic game. I don't know if you guys seen it. It was certainly a good spectacle to watch. Manchester City down when they beat Nottingham Forest. So yeah, we're safely in the Champions League. I mean, that's the good news here. You know, if you want to take any positive from this weekend, it is that barring a 27-goal swing and us losing all of our remaining games, we will be safely in the Champions League next season. Pretty much looking like we're nailed on for third. I think we need one more point from our last 3 games to guarantee third spot. So there is some positive. What have we got? Spurs' second half of the season has been a bit downhill. It has. It's been a little bit hectic, but look, for us, I just want to stop the rock for the end of the season and try and figure out what the likelihood is with the players coming in and going. I'm going to talk about Virgil van Dijk tonight and those links with him to Borussia Dortmund. They come from the Daily Mirror, so we'll be talking about them. You know, I'm not going to go into the situation with Salah and Klopp yesterday because I don't think there's much to it. You know, certainly not something. I think it's dissected everywhere. And even last night I said the same. I don't know what happened. It doesn't really matter what happened. It's just an indication that things aren't right at the minute. I'm not going to delve into it too much because I think both of them are people that we hold in high regard. So, you know, it doesn't really matter which one of them was right and which one of them was wrong. It's just not great looking. Finty, thank you for gifting a membership, mate. Appreciate you. Spurs, we've done that one already. Why would VVD go to Dortmund of all clubs? Why wouldn't he go to Dortmund of all clubs? I mean, I'm not saying he's going or not, but I'm just countering your argument. I think if you were to leave Liverpool at 33 years of age, which he would be in the summer, why wouldn't you go and replace Mats Hummels at Dortmund and play in front of the yellow wall for a few seasons in the Champions League in a new country? I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen or not, but it's hardly a ludicrous move. You know, Dortmund are a pretty decent club, and he wouldn't get the money he's getting at Liverpool, I don't imagine, but, you know, this is part of the conversation. Bro said Dortmund. No, I said Dortmund. But, yeah, off you pop anyway. But these people never get sick of people coming in trying to be smart arses and then lasting all of 2 minutes before they get booted out. But hey-ho. These last few weeks have really indicated that we need a refresh at Ellis. Craig, why do you think it's easier for Liverpool to win the Champions League than the Premier League? Don't know. Maybe because it doesn't take as much consistency. I'd say that's probably the answer, actually, now that I'm thinking it through. You know, 38 games in a Premier League season, and with the points tallies going up the way they have been with Manchester City's era, it's difficult. You've got to have an incredible level of consistency across 6-7 month period, 8 month period, so 9 month period probably. Keep going, Craig, you'll get there eventually. That's probably where it is, to be honest with you. And in the Champions League, I don't know, there's something special about Liverpool in the European night, so there is that as well. Somerville incoming. We're going to talk about Somerville tonight as well. Yes, we've got some links coming up on that. I think we've waited long enough now for everybody to come in that we can get stuck into the news. Craig, you're an absolute legend. If there's any player from a past you could bring back, who would you bring in? Probably Gerrard right now. Gerrard or something like maybe a Mascherano at the base of the midfield, Xabi Alonso, something like that. Right, anyway, let's get stuck into tonight's news. And I want to start off with a little update on Stefan Bajcetic, because a lot of people have been asking me about Stefan Bajcetic. He played an hour, I think it was, today. The report said Stefan Bajcetic took a step closer towards his Liverpool return as a strong under-21 side were beaten 2-0 by Arsenal on Sunday. And Stefan Bajcetic, I think he played an hour in the game. So good to see him getting back to fitness and working his way back. And let's be honest, we probably won't really see Stefan all that much until the new campaign, or at least the summer. But it is good that he's building up fitness. And I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a heads up on that, because a lot of people have been asking. So, Dirk Kuyt, obviously former Feyenoord player, former Feyenoord youth team coach, he's been speaking about Arne Slot and Liverpool, but he's also been speaking about a couple of players that he thinks Liverpool should maybe keep an eye on from Feyenoord. This is what he says. There were two players in particular he'd like to see come to Liverpool, one of which was Orkan Koku, the Turkish midfielder, who ended up being snapped up by Benfica. The individual in question that he's talking about now is Gertrude, vice-captain of the club. He's 23 years of age and could represent a shrewd piece of business because he can play right across the back line. Now, I'm going to be entirely honest. I know absolutely nothing about Feyenoord. Nothing. Don't know anything about any of their players other than what I'm starting to read over the last couple of days. But he's not the only person linking us to Gertrude. But I know nothing about him, other than he's a versatile defender, according to this little piece. So, for me, look, I don't like the idea of going back to a club and bringing in players from a club where somebody just left, unless you're talking about a massive club. And also, one other reason why I don't think it's likely is one of the titles of tonight's stream. It looks as though he's not going to have much power over transfers. It looks like Arne Slot is coming in to be a coach and not a manager. So I guess I should probably explain the difference. I'm sure most of you know, but I try to cater to everybody. So the difference is, in the structure in modern football, especially in Europe, you get directors of football who are responsible for most of the footballing operations, responsible for the type of football played right throughout the football club from top to bottom, responsible for bringing in youth players, responsible for bringing in first team players as well. And then you have a coach, which will be Arne Slot in this instance, who comes in and takes care of first team duties, coaches the first team, picks the team. Nobody interferes with him in that regard, but he doesn't have much of a sway, if any, over transfers. And I think this is completely reasonable. Jurgen Klopp would have been, I guess, what we think of in an old school kind of manager, like Alex Ferguson, Arsene Wenger, where he would have big sway over the football club. He would have say over transfers, transfer policy, budgets, I guess he'd have a say on as well. But I think Jurgen earned that right before he came to Liverpool, and when he came to Liverpool, to ask for those type of responsibilities. But what we've seen since Michael Edwards left the club is a bit of a departure from the way Liverpool used to go about their transfer business and how we went about our extensions. Michael Edwards simply wouldn't have agreed to a lot of what we'd seen happen since. For instance, I don't think Michael Edwards would have signed Darwin Núñez, just as an example. We know that Jurgen Klopp and Michael Edwards have probably disagreed on a couple of other things, so it's no surprise to me that with Michael Edwards coming back to the club, but Richard Hughes coming in as sporting director, that Liverpool have looked to kind of keep with this modern trend of bringing in a coach. Now, what is the upside of that for a club like Liverpool? Well, if the coach doesn't work, and you end up having to remove the coach and bring in another one, the theory is that the system or the developmental part of the club doesn't change. The philosophy stays the same. Coach comes in, plays the style of football that Liverpool are looking to play right through from the under 18s, under 16s, all the way right up to the first team. So that's the philosophy. If the coach doesn't work, you can remove the coach, but the structure is protected. And that's a modern trend that you see a lot these days, particularly in Europe with football clubs. It's no surprise to me that with Jurgen departing, somebody who's obviously had a massive influence over the club for so long, that this is the kind of way Liverpool are looking to go. And I'm sure over the course of time, if Arne Slot is a success, Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes will start to give him more of a say in these type of things, or his words will carry more weight, I guess, in these type of conversations. So I think it's understandable, in all honesty, and that's what he is brought in to do at the moment. Coach the players and make sure that they go out there and perform. Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes, Will Spearman, Dave Fallows, Barry Hunter, these guys will take care of the recruitment side of things. Hi Craig, love the content. What positions do you think we need strengthening or replacing going into next season under Slot? So I got to be honest with you, Lou Dog. This is the question that's been asked. I've been asking myself a lot over the past 24 hours in particular, because I don't know what. How do I say this? I don't know what the hell to think. I don't know what's going to happen with Van Dijk, with Salah and with Trent. And it's easy to say that these are just three players, but they're three very important players to our recent history. And I can understand maybe Salah getting sold on. I'm unsure about the Van Dijk situation, and it kind of unnerves me a little bit when I start to see those links to Borussia Dortmund and stuff. But off the top of my head, a left-sided centre-back, a defensive midfielder, a wide forward, and potentially a fullback. But it depends on if we move on, the likes of Costas or somebody else. What I think is more interesting to see or talk about is who will leave Liverpool this summer. Because that will give us an indication, I guess, to what we can expect with players coming in. When will you take your well-deserved day off? I don't look at this as work, mate. You know, it's not like this is a chore or a problem to me. I love coming on to chat with you guys about Liverpool and football in general. So, yeah, I don't do well with days off. You know, I don't. I prefer be here talking with you guys. How are you unsure it's Dortmund, an average German club? An average German club. They just happened to be in the semi-finals of the Champions League this year, by the way, mate. Whereas we got knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. But sure, let's keep calling them an average German club. The German clubs, by the way, that have just taken that extra Champions League place along with Italy. So, you know, Germany is not a poor country from a footballing context, particularly now. And remember, Van Dijk is getting on in age here. We're not talking about the possibility of a 26-year-old Virgil van Dijk heading off to Dortmund. You're talking about somebody who'll be 33 in the summer. And his contract situation means that Liverpool will have to make a decision of either extending Virgil van Dijk, letting him run down his contract, or selling him. I hope we extend. I still think he has plenty to give at the top level. But we don't know what way the players are really feeling about the departure of Jurgen. You know, it could feel like some of them go, okay, it's been a great few years at the club, really enjoyed myself, but I wouldn't mind a fresh challenge towards the end of my career. Or it could be, why would I want to go anywhere else? I love this football club, but maybe the contract offer that may be on the table wouldn't reflect what the players think. So, I mean, I certainly wouldn't be going around calling Dortmund an average German club. As I said, they are in the semi-final of the Champions League. 33, plenty of years left. Agree? Mate, you're making this out like I want to sell him. I didn't write the story. The story came from the Mirror. I very much agree that I actually had this conversation not an hour ago with somebody. I think Virgil van Dijk can easily play 3 more years. Probably 4. You know, 36 seems reasonable. And I would have no issues if Liverpool gave him an extension for 2 more years. After the year he has, meaning he'd be playing till he's about 36 with us. I'd have no issues with that at all. But I'm not Michael Edwards. And as much as I like the idea of Michael Edwards coming back for so many reasons, there are going to be decisions that aren't palatable to many of us because of Michael Edwards' insistence on really removing emotion from these things and looking at the underlying numbers. And if the underlying numbers show a decline, then he'll be moved on. Now, I don't think they do. I actually think Van Dijk, for the most part this season, has been one of our most consistent performers. And the only qualms I have about Virgil van Dijk is the captaincy. That's it. Like, I've no doubts about him as a player. I just don't like him as the captain. So, for me, give him a new deal. I've no issues with that at all. But I don't know what to second guess with Michael Edwards because, you know, he isn't you or I. He's not going to let emotion lead the conversation. So, you know, there's also a very valid argument about you don't want to remove too many senior players or too many experienced players as well. You want to get that mix between young, hungry, upcoming players and players who've been there and done it. So I understand all points, and these streams are they're just jumping off points for a conversation. This isn't me coming in to say these things are definitely happening. If you see a question mark or anything like that in the title, it's just a jumping off point. Rumours are Al Ittihad are back in for Mo. So on that, only in the last hour or so, stuff started to come out to say Saudi Arabian clubs are going to look to start the bidding for Mo at about 100 million this summer, and it could reach up to 150. Now, I'm going to be really honest with you on this. If I'm Al Ittihad or any of the Saudi clubs, I don't think there's a need for them to go that high. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want Liverpool to, if they do sell, to get every penny they can get. But I find some of these numbers a little bit over the top. You know, why would they bid 150 million quid, for a player that has 1 year to go on his deal? I mean, you'd start that conversation a lot lower. Now, if you're Liverpool, you're going to drive a hard bargain, of course. But this is what I said to you guys yesterday. I don't like this situation that we've got let's be honest with it, 3 starting 11 players who are going to go into the last years of their contract. It makes me very unnerved. And I think it's questionable from the club's perspective, because whatever way you look at it, they haven't protected their assets. You know? Now we're at a point where every week that goes by, the leverage in these negotiations is slowly shifting back towards the players in question, who know that they could just sit tight for a few months, sign a pre-contract and leave if they want. So it's a difficult one. Andy said, thank you, Craig, for all your hard work. Mate, again, no need to thank me. It's a pleasure to be here. So what do you guys think should happen with Van Dijk? Honestly, like, let's say you're there now and you're Michael Edwards, you're Richard Hughes, you're sitting there with Virgil and his representative. What do you do? You know, do you let him run down his contract and think to yourself, we get 1 more year out of him here, and if he has an amazing year in that last year, then maybe we try to extend him then? But if you're Virgil, you'd say, well, if you either have belief in me or you don't, you either want to extend me now or I'm not extending. I'm playing devil's advocate here. It's a tough one. Because again, we can talk about players' wages, and does Virgil van Dijk deserve a pay rise? I would say no. Because he's getting back to levels that he's played at previously before, I don't think a pay rise is the way to go here for a 33-year-old. And if I'm Michael Edwards, I'm certainly starting the negotiation downwards if I'm sitting down with Virgil and not upwards. TAA66 said, is it just me who can't wait for a fresh start next season? I love Klopp, but can't wait to see what Arne Slot can do for us. I feel like it's the right time for the change. I'm just glad it isn't a decision that the club had to take. You know, I've said this a few times. Imagine Klopp wasn't intending on leaving or hadn't announced his intention to leave yet, and this season started to fall away the way it has. It'd be interesting to see what the reaction was. I still think, for me, I'd be saying give him more time, give him more money, but Jurgen made the decision himself, so I guess it was the easiest for everybody concerned that way. Craig, does all what's happening now and Trent saying he takes everything season by season out of a bit of speculation in what he will do, I don't know, mate. Truly, like, I have no idea what to expect. All I can say for certain is I don't like that we're in this position, that Liverpool are over a barrel with 3 players here. You know, we still have some say in the conversation, obviously, because ultimately these guys are contracted for another year, but I don't know that there's, like, for instance, there's no 1 year contract extension that Liverpool can trigger in any of these that you often see the likes of United and stuff. When Rashford's coming down, you'll hear that there's a 1 year trigger that the club can put in, and they do. For us, it feels like this is dragged on and on and on, and we've not seen any indication. Like, I remember having these discussions with you guys in January, and the club saying that the top priority was to talk to players whose contracts are running out in a year's time. And here we are now, almost May, and still no word of those negotiations having progressed or even started. Sean, how are you, Sean? Sean McMahon said, I think a fresh point of view would be great. Kloppo's been fantastic, but I feel it's going stale. I think deep down I probably feel the same, mate. I probably feel the same. You know, it's horrible to say these things out loud, right? Because, you know, we all hold Jurgen in such high regard, but it does feel like Jurgen's made the decision for us, but it probably feels like some new instructions, some new words, some new encouragement, some new methods in the training ground, all these type of things probably will help. I hope. There's Brian. How are we, Brian? I was only actually messaging Brian a couple of minutes ago before we started. You won't believe this, right? We got the email today to say if we wanted to, we could buy those 2 season tickets. So I put them in my basket and I looked up in the corner and it was 14,100 and something euro for 2 season tickets in the Annie Road end in the corporate hospitality section. 14,100 euro for 19 home games, no European games. And do you know what the final kick in the nuts was? I looked down to see a big image that said, these tickets do not count towards credits. So you're spending 14 G's on 2 season tickets and they don't even count towards match credits. This means more. Welcome to Liverpool. I think we know where the money is now, John. It's in your goddamn pockets, you cheap git. Now spend it. I'm at the point where wherever Edwards decides on players and the roster, I'm fine with it. New regime, new blood, said Brian. I've got a lot of faith in Edwards as well, Brian. To be honest with you, mate, a lot. I find in a lot of these debates where it's Edwards' view versus somebody else's view, I usually come down on the side of removing emotion from it, because I don't know, I trust him implicitly. I've learned a lot about Michael Edwards over the last 3 months, looking into, for the videos we've made and stuff, looking into his background, looking into his thought process, the way he goes about stuff, hearing from people who've worked with him. So I'm with you, mate. I have a lot of faith in Michael Edwards' decision-making abilities. But Craig, Edwards is back, so we will hear nothing. That could be true as well. Why hammer? We may just hear someday that these deals are done, and there you go. You never know. So how many of those €14,000 season tickets can I put you all down for? Yeah, we were thinking, we were close to buying them. We were like, and then we were like, it's 14 grand. It's 14 grand. Like, I'm not at a point in my life where 14 grand is just a little click of a button and just nah. Like, that's... Klopp's an absolute legend, but I feel change coming is at the right time. Hopefully players who underperformed with Slot can get more out of them. Look, I definitely believe that we can get a lot of extra energy and mileage out of some of the players already at the club with a change of coaching methods, a change of instruction. And one of the things that I've been able to find out by looking into Arne Slot and his methods is that he does mix up training. He does have drills that are constantly changing to keep the players interested, to keep the players excited, to keep the players learning. So that side of it sounds good. Pranav said, if Darwin is sold, I would love us to buy Lewis Openda. Although we cost about 70 million, he's in the Firmino mould, can play attacking mid or on the wings. We talked about him last night, actually, Pranav. Somebody mentioned him, and I happened to say that I was watching some highlights from the Leipzig-Dortmund game, and he scored the opening goal in the game. He had been linked to us quite a bit, and if I'm remembering yesterday, you guys told me it was Lens who he was at in France. I remember seeing him as well, I think on loan or at Sevilla at one point. He's been somebody whose name has been linked to Liverpool, but I don't know if it's linked because, as you said, stylistically, maybe this is a good fit, or if it's been linked because we need a striker. I don't know the answer to that, but I can certainly say to you there's been a fair few column inches written about it. Going to a match is on my bucket list, but being in Ontario and with how hard it is to go, likely we'll never get to. I'm sure you'll get to a game at some point, mate. I'm sure the opportunity will pop up. You never know. Like, Liverpool over the last few years in stature have grown immensely with Jurgen Klopp. The fan bases around the world have grown. A little bit of success breeds pressure for tickets and breeds competition. And I do hope at some point it all settles down a bit and people get that opportunity to go without having to pay ridiculous prices. Craig, rather than giving away the season tickets, why don't you run raffles for them? so you can recoup some of the loss. Oh, you're allowed to. With these season tickets, you are allowed to give them away to family, friends. It's completely interchangeable. It just seems like a real big headache to manage the season tickets every week as well, to try and recoup money. And I'd be asking people for money that I don't think there's value in a lot of the time as well. So that was kind of what put us off it in the end. You know, we could do exactly what you said. Give them away, sell them, give them to partners, whatever. But it just seems like a lot of management to go watch Liverpool a couple of times a season if we wanted to go over. Yeah, I don't feel comfortable leaning into that level of greed. If you get me, like 14 grand for 19 games for 2 tickets seems too bougie for me. You want to know what I love about these streams? You can do anything else while listening. I'm cleaning my bathroom. I love it. Well in, John. You know, I know other people who just listen on longer drives and stuff. Look, however you're here, mate, I appreciate that you are here. And thank you for the suggestion as well, Dylan. We couldn't do anything on YouTube, by the way, with them. For, like, let's say, for instance, we said we'd raffle them off for members on YouTube. You're not allowed to do that. That's against the YouTube rules. So, where are we at with Virg? Should we do a poll, or do you want to just say what you do if you were Michael Edwards right now? I actually don't. I'm going to put a poll with 3 options on it. 1 second. Okay, so there's a poll with 3 options for you. If you're Michael Edwards, what do you do? Do you extend, do you sell, or do you let the contract run down? This is on VVD, so I'll leave that running in the background for a while, and then we'll talk about the results. So on that post yesterday that I forgot to mention to you guys, let me just grab it up here. The post came out to say that, there it is, Arne Slot's deal from Feyenoord to Liverpool was formally completed on Saturday. Done, signed, sealed. That was posted by Anfield Sector, and they were quoting a Dutch outlet called 1908 Netherlands. So there are reports that it's already signed. Now, obviously, we don't have an announcement or anything, so you always want to wait for the club. What are your opinions on Somerville? I don't know enough about him. Mate, we spoke about yesterday. Some people think it would be too much of a jump up for the kid. Some people think he's good enough. But what I know for certain is he's somebody that Arne Slot is at least fond of. But then again, as I've said at the start of this stream, Slot isn't apparently coming in to have much of a say over transfer activity. More so about the way that we play, how we coach the team and stuff like that. So he is on a list. He is being looked at. That's all I know for certain. And I don't watch all that much of Leeds United because I'm not really somebody that watches much of the Championship. So I'm relying on you guys to give me some input onto Somerville. Hey fans who say we're not real supporters because we don't go to the games, but the matches are terribly expensive, as you point out. So here's the thing, Stargirl. I've been doing this quite a while now, right? And I've had pretty much every type of response that you can imagine, from calling me a sofa fan, a fake fan, whatever. All it is people who want to try and undermine your opinion. So they go straight to, you're a sofa fan, you don't go to games. And then you say to them, well, you get me tickets to go to games and I'll go to games. And then they'll say, but you can't. And then I'll go, why not? And then they'll go something along the lines of, well, because real fans want to go to them. And then I respond by saying, are the real fans the same real fans who are selling the season tickets match by match for a whole load of extra money? And that usually shuts them up a little bit, because all of these little arguments are just trying to undermine other football fans. And I don't get it. Look, I understand it's hard to get tickets to Liverpool games, but I don't get this belittling of other fans. You tell me that a fan, and look, feel free to clip this up if you want, or save it or whatever, but you tell me that a fan who lives in Los Angeles that has to get up for a 5:30 a.m. kickoff for a 12:30 game and leaves their house at about 3 o'clock to drive to the local supporters club bar where they meet up, and the bar owner opens up for breakfast, and they have breakfast at 5:30 in the morning for the game. They watch the game together, and then they go back home. Maybe they go into work later that day or whatever. You tell me they're not a real fan. Or you tell me that the guy or girl over in Australia or New Zealand who has to get into a pub before 10 or 11 o'clock before the doors are shut so that they can watch a 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. Liverpool game, you tell me they're not a real fan. These are the things that drive me demented. I have a Liverpool fan channel, and it's very difficult for me to leave the channel to go to games because obviously this is my livelihood and I have my own community. That gets used against me as well. But if I said to somebody, so if I left and went to a game, are you going to pay the wages for the boys? Are you going to cover their mortgages? No, of course not. You can't win in these debates. So that's why we started this channel. And I've said this so many times. I got a pain in me hoop, and that's a very Irish phrase, to feel like I had to defend my own fandom and other fans who are, as I said, waking up at ridiculous o'clock to go to supporters clubs, or going into bars late to have to stay in there even later, or getting up and then going into work with no sleep. They're not real fans? Of course they are. Some of the sacrifices that I've heard Liverpool fans make to watch games of football is inspiring. So to undermine those people by calling them not real fans, that is everything that our club's supposed to be the antithesis of. We're supposed to be a group, together, a community, a movement, a feeling that extends around the world until it doesn't when they want to belittle you. So I don't, look, long and short, I don't pay attention to it anymore because they've no interest in a civil conversation or a genuine debate. They just want to belittle you. That's all it's about. Who would you replace Salah with? I have to start off the conversation by saying there is no replacing Salah. You know, whoever comes in, the numbers won't be the same. So you have to just look at who can come in and do their bit, contribute along with the rest of the forwards. And I don't know the answer to that question. I can tell you a load of names that we've been linked with, from Neto to Elise to Bakayoko to Iñaki Williams to Federico Chiesa. I can talk about silly names like Kvaratskhelia or Rafael, even though he plays on an opposite side. All these things. But the truth is, I would imagine it's going to be somebody whose numbers stand out, whose name might not be as sexy initially as we all think. But let's remind ourselves, neither was Salah's when he came in. Like, he was good, don't get me wrong. He did a very good campaign over in Roma, setting up goals and scoring with Edin Dzeko. But nobody thought that he was going to do the underlying numbers that he's ended up doing. So this is where I come back to what I'd say. I don't know the answer, but I kind of have absolute faith in Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes' decision making. Pranav said, I was coming over for the Wolves game, just wanted to be Klopp's farewell game, got the ticket, booked the hotel, but the visa fell through, absolutely gutted. Oh, dude. Hi, I'm Craig. I know all about visas. not working out too well, bro. Yeah, and I know you were coming over as well, mate, because you were looking at coming over to Dublin as well for the Europa League. So I'm really, really sorry that didn't work out for you, mate. But trust me, I've had my own visa issues this year. Obviously not to go to England, but sorry, I'm reading back through some of your comments here. Houlden spitting facts right now. Look, I've said this to you guys many times. We started this channel, and I think of it as a bit of an independent international Liverpool supporters union group, whatever you want to call it. Because there's not like... What some of these undermining clowns forget as well is there's a lot more of us dotted around the world, everywhere, than there are of a hardcore group of 30 or 40,000. So embrace the madness, and that it includes all of us. I think we will need to sell VVD and Salah this summer. That's a lot of upheaval, though, isn't it? Salah, VVD, Klopp. See, I'm unsure if this is one of those situations where we want to whip off the stick and plaster and go completely new again and maybe accept a year of transition. I don't know what the correct answer is. Michael Edwards' data analytics is spot on, as always, said Nessie. So, on the Virgil van Dijk conversation, so far it's looking pretty much like you guys, to the extent of about 60% so far, want to see Virgil van Dijk's contract extended. And I'm in that camp, to be honest with you. I think I don't like him being the captain, but as we mentioned, you ask yourself a couple of questions here. Has he got more to give at the top level? Yes. Has Salah? Probably yes as well. Do either of them deserve a pay rise? Not in my humble opinion. I just don't like Virgil as the captain. But if he was to be extended, there'd be no pushback from me on that whatsoever. But I don't know what the likelihood of it is. That's the part that worries me. Is we can all have our opinions. You can argue your point, I can argue my point, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes call, and it is a big one. Asif said, I'm a big fan of Anfield Agenda. We love that, mate. Well in. Now, my friends, a couple of things for you. Do drop a like on the stream if you haven't done so. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. And we will be making a decision on the Dublin show this week, like we spoke about. Belfast tickets are flying. Dublin has been struggling to sell a bit, so we're going to make a decision on that with the promoters this week. But if you do want to come along, tickets can be got by the QR code on the screen or just going to Ticketmaster. Lucho for Mo's replacement, Cody and Darwin on the left. So on Lucho, actually, I'm glad you brought up Lucho, because I was reading a bit on him earlier on. I think this article was on The Athletic, and it said, Diaz has started every Premier League game since the beginning of the year, yet continues to look the freshest of any Liverpool player. He earned praise for the Merseyside derby performance when those around him floundered. He was still the Energizer Bunny against West Ham, constantly offering the only real threat throughout his relentless will and determination to influence and make a difference. If something doesn't come off, he immediately gets ready to go and try again. That's kind of where I'm at with Lucho as well. He has been one of the few, I don't want to say shining lights, but he's been one of the few that I think has pulled his weight. You can talk about end product, and there is a conversation to be had there. But I do agree with that. And I didn't know, to be fair, that he'd started every Premier League game since the beginning of the year. Genuinely didn't know that stat till I read that there. Do you see Dom in Slot's lineup back to 100% form? Yes, I do. I think this is a teething year for Szoboszlai, and his ability isn't in question. Why we haven't seen the best of it for prolonged spells this year, that's a different conversation. But yes, I do think he'll push on. But I do wonder, are any of these players that were signed last summer a little bit annoyed by the Klopp situation? Because we don't know what they were told when they were signing. You know, maybe you think you're signing to come and play for Jurgen Klopp for 3 or 4 years. So from that perspective, I don't know if maybe there's a bit of sulking going on or a bit of frustration that Jurgen's leaving, and some players feel like they were maybe told one thing and yet another thing is happening. I don't know. But it's a fair question. I mean, I'd ask the question if I was Szoboszlai or Endo or Gravenberch. I'd ask the question as well. Like, I came here for a project to be part of what Klopp is doing, and if Klopp's leaving, I can understand how some of them would feel a little bit led on, a little bit annoyed. You know, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but because we also don't know what was said to them. I think Szoboszlai, Curtis and McAllister for our number 3 midfield. So Curtis Jones has a lot of work to do to get back to the level we've seen. You know, he's fallen off. He has. Like, we've seen him go through that phase where, you know, he was really good. And, you know, I was eating a lot of humble pie. Not that I need an excuse to eat a lot of pie of any variety, but yeah, he's not been the same. Sorry, there's a... Fidget said, how are you, Craig? I think Chelsea will try Amarim. Fidget, of course, one of our Chelsea supporting friends in the chat. I don't know, mate, but United are apparently being mentioned as well as an option for Amarim. What's my favourite pie? I'm simple, man. Apple. Just give me an apple pie. It's you can't go wrong with the classics. As long as there's a good bit of cinnamon in there, I'm good to go. Have you seen Garnacho's brother tweeting to diss Gakpo and Slot? I didn't see it, but I did read that it had happened. But I'm not on social media. Apparently it's been a weird day on social media. Apparently there's another lad who forgot to sign out of his burner account before replying to himself, making the exact opposite point to what his main account had said. But these things aren't for me to say, you know, because I'm not on social media. But I do get sent some of the screenshots of it, and it does make me chuckle occasionally. I wish Salah stays and gets back on track, said Rafid. I got to be honest with you, Rafid. I'm at the point to sell Salah. I just am. Somebody please look into this for me, because I don't want to say something as a fact if I don't know it's a fact, but I only read this a little bit ago. Apparently, since the start of January, Salah's only scored 4 goals from open play, or 4 non-penalty goals in 2024. So, in 4 months. And I know he was at the AFCON for some of it as well, by the way, before people say that. But that's not great. If he's only scored 4 non-penalty goals in this calendar year so far. That's not... That worries me. I've got to say, it does worry me. Because we looked at the first half of the season, and it was a lovely balance between scoring and assists. You know, his average was 1 a game, pretty much, or just under 1 a game of a goal contribution. That, as we seen the other day when I went through the stats, has fallen away a bit. Your all-time burger toppings. I'm simple. Just bacon and cheddar, man. Or bacon and whatever the orange easy single or American cheddar. Just that and some bacon and you're good to go. Who's the top scorer and assister this season? These things really make me laugh. Take away the penalties from Mo and give them to somebody else. And then we'll have the conversation. Just because somebody's the top scorer this season and has been, doesn't mean that he hasn't fallen off. It just means that he's got a load of chances and he scored some of them. But the eye test hasn't been working. How many chances is he missing to score the other chances? Like, I know people want to defend Salah, and I'm not here to shit all over him. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to say that he's past his best. And I don't think, if we're being honest with ourselves, anybody can take up the position that he isn't. You can say that he still adds a lot to the team. He still contributes. Absolutely valid. But he's past his best. And he's past his best, and it's going to come down to either give the man more money or sell him. And he is not worth more money at this point. He just isn't. And I don't know how anybody can feel differently. When you negotiate a new deal, you're given a pay increase. Usually it's because you're performing well and getting better or keeping at a level. This year, he hasn't. And also, there's been other stuff as well with Salah. I've not gotten past that picture with the PSG president. That always wrangled with me. I've not forgotten about the distractions mid-seasons when the contract negotiations have been going on. And we're talking about will he or won't he? And we're talking about will he head off or what is his agent saying? And then we're seeing the Saudi Arabia stuff. And then we're seeing... I haven't forgotten about all of that. All those distractions, all those media inches, all those headaches, all the stuff about him and Mane. Like, all of it combined, I feel like now's the right time to say goodbye. Because I don't feel like he's worth the commitment anymore from Liverpool. That's my honest view. Again, you have to say these things and caveat it with nobody's questioning his legacy, the fact that he's a club legend. That's all set in stone. I would never try to debate against that. Mohamed Salah will go down in folklore and will be remembered for everything he's done. That's not up for debate. But I want my club to continue to win. I want my club to continue to be able to challenge. And that's going to take some smart recruitment. And that's going to take money. And our owners are tight. So any way that we can free up money, be creative to bring in money, I think we have to look at. And if somebody's going to plonk £100 million down on the table for a 32-year-old with 1 year to go on his contract, I'm sorry, but I'm taking that. On top of the fact that it's freeing up a considerable amount of money every week off the wage books as well, which can be reinvested in other players. If he plays bad next year, sell him in January. He's not going to sell it. Like, people are delusional. Put yourself in his shoes. He's not playing well next year, and you get to January and you're like, we want to sell you, Mo. And I'm like, fuck you. I can sign a pre-contract and leave for nothing in a few months. Why on earth would I let you sell me? I haven't signed anything. I'm going to run down this contract, sign a nice fat signing on bonus with somebody else, and off I pop in the summer. Be realistic. It's not an option. Why? He's not going to go, oh, okay then. I'll take a financial hit so you can sell me so I can go elsewhere because you don't want me. Be realistic, mate. That's not an option. Hypothetical scenario, sell Salah for 120 million, said Pranav, and other fringe players, total 40 million. Sign Reefer, Kudus, Mo replacement, Openda and Oitnuri. Pacho. There's a lot of signings going on there, mate. I don't know what the budget is, by the way, for next year, but I know, as you said, if you freed up 120 million quid there, that's a lot of money. Ahmed said, I agree, Mo did fall off a little, but did you see the clips of Núñez missing the easiest chances? Salah would have been number one for goals and assists. Look, dude, none of us are debating Darwin being frustrating. None of us. The only thing, like, if this was a 26-year-old Mo, I wouldn't bat an eyelid. I'd be saying, nah, this is a dip. You know, but it isn't. It's a 32-year-old Mo that isn't going to get faster, isn't going to get fitter, most likely. You know, you've got to be realistic about these things as well. And I'm not making excuses for Darwin because he has a lot of work to do and he needs to pull his socks up as well. But they're not comparable because Darwin doesn't have 1 year to go on his contract. Darwin isn't 32 years of age. And Darwin isn't the highest paid player in the history of the football club. So these are counterbalances or counter arguments to that. But you are right. You know, we've missed too many sitters this season. Darwin's missed an awful lot of them. If Klopp was tired and didn't feel like coaching, why not step down at the end of last season? As we can see now, it's not ending well. You know, it's a fair point. It's a fair point, Stevie boy. Now, all I can imagine is that he probably felt like he was okay at the end of last season because he wanted to put it right. And maybe he had that angry energy with how last season finished up and he did want to go out that way. And I can understand and appreciate that. You know, he wanted to rebuild like he promised when he came in. He'd leave the club in a better place than when he arrived. And I think he's doing that. So I credit Jurgen for wanting to put it right. But the timing of the announcement, I guess, look, this is a debate that people are more than fair to have, you know. It certainly is not working out the way you'd hoped when he made the announcement. We appreciate you, Craig. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Corbin, man. I'm really enjoying it. Look at these numbers. 2,500 people in on a Sunday evening. I'm, again, mate, walking on cloud nine. So appreciative of all of your time, your comments. Means a lot to us. So thank you. Yeah, it's amazing. This is why I don't want to take a day off either, because I get excited to come on and talk to you guys about these things, and it's amazing knowing that we're all here trying to figure out what's going on and, you know, asking some difficult questions of ourselves and of our fellow fans, because it's been a tough few weeks. The Núñez hate from some people is annoying. He may be inconsistent, but we've seen what he can do. He's going through a rough patch. He'll bounce back. So I do want to counter what you've said a little bit there, Cody Gaming. And we use the word hate a lot lately when we're talking about our own players. Or when we're talking about players, criticising our own players. So whilst I do agree there is some what you would class as hate from idiots, most people are just genuinely annoyed at how many chances he's missing. And I don't think it's fair that we criticise people who have a valid point. You know, I've no problem with you believing and wanting them to stay good, and he very well may turn it around. But there are some like, people aren't just plucking this shit out of the air and saying, oh, Darwin, I'm sick of him. Like, there's a good reason why they're getting frustrated. But, you know, most people that I see are somewhere in the middle. You know, they might feel like they're annoyed by it, but, you know, and I put me in there. I'm unsure of what to do with Darwin. Salah thinks about him over the team every time, said Stuart Edward. So I've always felt like there is brand Salah, and that is, how do I say this? Because it's very difficult to try and get this out. So let's say brand Salah and brand Liverpool have been really good together. They've both risen and they've both been important for each other. Salah has undoubtedly added to the appeal of our club and our team, grown our fan base around the world, helped Jurgen to achieve what we've achieved. But there's always been, in my opinion, more of a, it's about me, about my legacy than the club. And that's only been intensified by the most toxic set of fans I've ever seen in my life. And I'm talking about Salah FC fans. The scummy, shitty, horrible accusations that get thrown around at people who give a criticism. And it, you know, it was a little bit with Mane as well. It really, 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 really annoys and angers me. Because you're not a Liverpool fan. And you think you get to shit all over our club because they have dropped the player you love, or because the manager hasn't picked them, or the fans are unhappy about performances. Don't disguise yourself as a Liverpool fan. Don't pretend to be. Because if you're a Liverpool fan, you're a Liverpool fan, and you want the best for everything to do with the club. You want the best for the players, the manager, the fans. I've really, really, really struggled over the past few years with being unable to give a fair and accurate reflection of what I see with Mo sometimes. No problem when you're praising him. When you're praising him, everyone's happy. But when you dare call something out, the avalanche of accusations and abuse, and it's disgusting. Like, and I know you will have suffered it as well. I'm not just saying this is all at me, but I've never experienced this before as a football fan. You know, we all have our favourites. That's sound. You know, I was an unashamed Bobby Firmino fan. But the bird, the club, the badge meant way more to me than any of that, because they're the consistent in my life. The club will always be there. The football team will always be there. Heroes will come and go. We'll enjoy them. We'll speak about them nostalgically. But I've never had this before. And it really angers me, because there's no comeback. There's no... Somebody comes on and says, you're Islamophobic, or you don't like him because he's an Arab. When you've said nothing about his ethnicity, his religion, you've talked about him missing a goal. And they're like, well, you never really liked him because he's an Arab. I never, ever, ever entered my mind to see him in anything other than a Liverpool player stance, as a Liverpool player. And I think that's disgusting, because they can say what they want, and it tarnishes you as a person, and throwing around these accusations it's disgusting. It's just disgusting, and it undermines the real hatred that exists in the world that needs to be stamped out. It breaks my heart, and it's happening all the time. Come on, lads. Craig is spot on about Salah. He's 32 and we're being offered 100 million for a 32-year-old. Yeah. So I don't know how you guys feel about that situation, but for me, it's tainted my time enjoying Mo. Because I could talk about Virgil van Dijk here, and I can say Virgil van Dijk's not having a great game, or Virgil van Dijk's having a poor week, and nobody's going to come at me and say I'm racist, or say that I don't like Virgil because he's from the Netherlands, or because he's a, I don't even know what religion he is, but because he's a practicing Christian or whatever, I hate it. I hate it because it means you think so little of your fellow human beings that you think the only reason we could possibly have a gripe with somebody is because of an underlying hatred. It's disgusting, quite frankly. Eric Ken Lasso said, at first I was really sceptical about the appointment of Arne Slot, but then I remembered we've Michael Edwards appointing him. His track record suggests he doesn't have or leave any stones unturned. Yeah, look, I'm putting a lot of faith in Michael Edwards and his beliefs, or his ability to spot a gem. So Mark is just saying to me here, according to the Telegraph, Forest will find out in the coming days the result of their appeal, and they've asked the Premier League to fast track it due to the season coming to an end. No surprises on that one, and thank you, Mark, for sending that on. Do you remember when Mane left? There was a load of people going, Sadio Mane's gone now to Bayern Munich, a club where he'll finally be loved, a club where he'll be treated properly. He was disrespected, mistreated at Liverpool when he was here. And then he goes off to Bayern Munich and they turn on him like that. And the club get rid of him. All of a sudden, you look back and go, was he really mistreated? Because I tell you what, I didn't know anyone who didn't love Mane. Same as I don't know anyone who doesn't love Salah. It's just weird. And they get away with it. Where's the comeback on them? We live in a blame culture, unfortunately. Easier to blame others than take responsibility for our own people's actions. We do. And we also live in a mad society at the minute where everybody wants to come in and be negative to everyone. You know, you feel like you have to come in and undermine somebody else. Like, how dare somebody else be happy? Or, you know, let's come in and shit all over them. Weird. Growing up, I stay away from stuff I don't like. You know, I don't want to torture myself with crap I don't like. L7 Zekro, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC. The grass isn't always greener moving on from Liverpool. It's very rarely greener moving on from Liverpool. You know, I can probably count on one hand the players that have actually gone on and won more, like Suarez at Barca, McManaman, McManaman Owen when they went to Real Madrid. You know, there's been a few, but ultimately Liverpool is a special place for a reason, and a lot of that reason is the fans and how welcoming and all-encompassing it is. For instance, again, just to finish up on this point, and then I'll get back onto the news. They ignore the fact that one of the first things that happened when Salah came in is a viral song went around saying, if he scores one, then I'll be Muslim too. And that just forgotten about all of a sudden. Do you know what I mean? It baffles me. It's like, I think Liverpool have been, as a community, as a set of fans, have been incredibly welcoming to everybody that's come into the club from all backgrounds, religions, sexual orientations, races. It doesn't matter. They've always been welcomed because they're part of the Liverpool family. And that's why I don't like these outsiders, because they are outsiders coming in to try and infiltrate us and turn and divide us on each other because they want to love their guy and they don't really give a damn about the club. Does Slot have a similar playing style to Klopp? That came in from Daco. I'm scrolling back up because somebody said I missed a few super chats. So I'll get back down to your question in a second, mate, because I did indeed miss a few. So I'm going to go through these. Citizen Jones 95 said, favourite opposing channel on YouTube. Y'all are awesome. Thank you, mate. I appreciate your kind words. Thank you very much. Bye Mo, you'll always be a legend, said Mark Schroeder. Club is always bigger. Reset needed with our older players. Captaincy too big for Virg. Give it to Trent. Craig, you legend. Thank you, Mark, for your thoughts and for your kind words. Sonic Quantum said, as a United fan, this is low-key reminiscent of Ronaldo FC. I love Ronaldo, but my God, these fanboys are so over the top. See, I think this is the first time it's happened in my time supporting Liverpool. And yet there was Ronaldo FC, Messi FC, and I'm sure that you guys as United fans would have seen a lot of this. It's all new to me though, you know. Salah has been the first, in the modern age, the first global, I mean, whatever word I can use probably doesn't do justice to how big of a personality and character and fella brand he is. So yeah, this is kind of new to us, but yeah, I'm not surprised to hear United fans had some similar stuff. And let me scroll back down to this one. I've done that one. There we go. This one was, is he a similar playing style to Klopp? Some similarities, some not so. Pressing in the final third, absolutely something that you can expect from Arne Slot. Little bit different in possession at times. He's a known fan of the likes of football that Pep Guardiola plays, a possession-based football where there's very precise movements and players move in very distinct patterns. So yes, to some extent, similar in that it's high intensity, very attack-minded with a counter press, but some other differences in how we will structure the attacks and how, in defence, as an example, in Slot's 4-2-3-1 system, one of the two double pivots drops back in to make a back five when defending, and then in attack, differences again. So we'll get used to it, but there are more similarities to the way Klopp plays than there would have been with Ruben Amorim, which is one of the reasons why Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes went with Arne Slot, because the stylistic approach is not going to see the club have to rip up its philosophy on how we play football and rebuild it again. There's less upheaval. JC, thank you, mate, for gifting 20 Anfield Agenda memberships. Absolute legend, mate. Thank you so much. My steak brother in arms. Sorry I'm late. Don't know what's going on. That's not unusual, JC, man. It's all good. We're just chatting about the situation at the club, you know, what we can expect over the summer and what we think is going to go on with contracts. So we'll end this poll then. 57% with over 2,500 votes believe that it's time to give Virgil an extension. And I agree. MKN said, Salah is going to leave after this season, so we're all going to have to show love and appreciation and give him a good send-off, feck the negativity. Yes. Yes. I agree. Same with Klopp. You know, these last few games now should be about forgetting about everything else. We know the next manager. We know who's coming in. We know the structure at the club now. I agree 100%, mate. Last few games, hopefully the players come out there and play with a bit more freedom. You know, we've got Champions League football now. That's done and dusted. Barring a 27-goal turnaround and us losing every game between now and the end of the season, that's secure. We need one more point, I think, for third place. So yeah, let's go out there and enjoy it and celebrate these guys. Absolutely. I love that comment. Craig, has Arne Slot signed the contract yet? Reports in Holland say it was signed yesterday. I don't know. I don't know for sure. Some accounts have ran with it and said that it was signed, sealed yesterday, but honestly, mate, I don't know. Can I read Harry Klein's super chat? Yep, let me scroll up. Not that one. That one. That one. That one. Yeah, I'll have to go into the back end system. 1 second, mate. Harry Klein. Mark Schroeder. Which player do you enjoy watching the most on form? Good question. On form, which current player do I enjoy watching the most? Darwin. Yeah, Darwin. Because I love the chaos. I love how impactful he can be. So yeah, I'd say Darwin on form. Now, you can talk about how often that is. Who else on form do I love watching? I mean, there's something special about seeing Trent go out and ping a load of passes and have an impact on a game with just arrow-like precision. That's pretty enjoyable. Robbo's great on a burst. Seeing Virg defend like it's easy is great to watch. See Alisson make worldly saves. I mean, there's a lot. And do you know what I miss most about Mo, actually? Is those runs. You know, if you think back to some of Mo's most memorable goals and you look at twisting and turning Spurs and City players inside out and forcing his way through 2-3 challenges and lifting the ball into the roof of the net, that's what I miss about Mo. That's the Mo I miss. And then you look at Lucho, who's doing a lot of that same movement, but just doesn't have the same finishing instincts that Mo would have had. Yeah. And that's why I think when Mo's gotten older, I've started to say I wouldn't mind seeing him go through the middle, you know, because now we see every week Mo's almost be having to play his way in. He's too wide at times, and he's having to play to set up his own attack, so play his way in, little 1-2s edge of the box, and then try and get a shot off. For some reason, that ability of him to take on players seems to have gone. And a lot of the time now, he doesn't even go past one man. It'll go off the knees of somebody and go back out of play. And I miss that directness. Sorry, I'm still playing catch up here. We've done that one. Where's this one? Man said, I think VVD will want to leave. I have to admit, Aman, when I seen the link to Dortmund, I thought, I can see it. I can see him there. Hummels looks like he's going to be departing. I can see it. I can see Virgil in a Dortmund jersey playing there in front of the yellow wall for that last chapter of his career. I don't know if it'll happen or not, but I can visualise it, if you get me. If you don't know, this is my emoji. Yep, Team Shrimp. That's me and you, JC. Team Shrimp. Jammy Jam Jars, thank you very much for your super chat, mate. Said Salah/religion argument in a nutshell. Me, I'm not sure about Arne Slot as a coach. Random fan. Well, I guess you despise bald people then. Me, what? No, where did that come from? So disingenuous. Yes, it's a loaded conversation. You're right. And we all know bald people are amazing. Just, you know, to a side, like, we've got the... I don't know much about Arne Slot, but I've already decided because he's bald, he's the greatest coach in the history of football. So I'm looking forward to him. What's this one? Okay, so this is come up again today, and it's a link that's been there for a while, but there was a post put out today that said Leeds have identified Liverpool defender Nat Phillips as a summer target. Phillips, who was impressed on loan at Cardiff, is wanted by Leeds whether the club win promotion or not. That link has been there for a while, and I always said I think that would be an incredibly good move for everybody. I can see Nat Phillips at Leeds. I can see Leeds fans absolutely loving Nat Phillips. And I can see Nat Phillips, you know, giving us all in a Leeds shirt. I think that would be a good move if it's one that we could agree a fee on. I think he'd be brilliant. Dear Craig, do you think Liverpool could have a woman manager in the future? I mean, the men's team. I mean, there's no reason why not. You know, there's some things that there are very valid reasons, physically or whatever, as to why women couldn't compete in what had been a genuinely male-dominated environment. And then there's other things like darts, coaching football. Absolutely. There's absolutely no reason why Liverpool in the future couldn't have a female head coach. None. Yeah, none. You know, if same as anybody else, they do their badges, work their way through. I don't see why not. Swap deal with Somerville. So, I've no idea how much Leeds would want for Somerville, by the way. I've seen loads of links for us to him, but I've not seen many numbers spoken about. Don't tell Joey Barton that. Now look, again, real talk for a minute. there are a lot of hypocrisies in modern media that need to be called out. And I think, like we spoke about the Salah situation, I think some of the white knights and people who are too far at the other end of the spectrum of wokeness are doing just as much damage as the Neanderthals at the other far end of the other spectrum. Most human beings live somewhere in the middle, but it's usually the ones on the extreme ends of any spectrum, be they political, misogynistic, whatever. We all live in the middle, most of us, but there are people who go too far in either direction. And I think the mainstream media, and particularly Sky Sports over the last couple of years, has gone too far into the preachy end of the market. And I don't need to be preached at by Sky Sports. I got my morals from my parents, and I'm an adult, and I've grown up, and I know what's good and bad, and I know what's right and wrong. So for every Joey Barton going too far in one direction, you have a Sky Sports going too far in the other direction, and then most of us want to just have a normal conversation somewhere in the middle. So, yeah. It annoys me. You know, this is just one example. I didn't like that Emma Hayes thought she could just come out and say, male aggression needs to be stamped out of the sport. There's too much male aggression in the sport. Just use the word aggression. Why do we have to start pointing fingers at men? Or vice versa, I don't like anybody saying women can't have a role in football. Well, why not? Why not? Women have the ability to be able to tactically learn a coaching manual and work with players on the pitch. So again, we all live in the middle, but there's people on either end of it that are making a problem for us. And as these people grow in power, that becomes a problem as well, because they've got more of a platform then. Could you imagine us going for a structure like Ajax? We keep most of our players instead and not get the cash. We have done that, to be fair. Like, in the last few years on their FSG, Liverpool have managed to keep hold of the players they've wanted to keep hold of. I thought what you were saying with that was that we were going to see a situation where our retiring or our former players go into the Ajax structure like Edwin van der Sar or others. And that, I think that there's some merit to. You know, on the continent, a lot of the time, I think in Germany as well, you see a lot of former players going into executive positions at the football clubs. And I think it'd be no harm having a few people like that learn that side of the club as well over the years. We used to be a real close family on here. Well done, Craig. I think we still are, David. I think we still are. James. Thank you, James, for your super chat. You're very kind, mate. So, Craig, you're spending the Salah 100 to 120 mil. Who are you buying? A centre-back? Being realistic about the centre-back? Don't know about any of the people from Feyenoord we've been linked with, but I do like Inacio. I've always liked Inacio. I've always liked that idea. I haven't liked the idea that we could have had him for cheaper last summer. So we need a left-sided centre-back. Mark Gay from Crystal Palace. I've always liked that link as well. I mean, I would have loved Branthwaite from Everton to come in to Liverpool, but, you know, I don't think that's happening now. And then I bring in a wide player with the rest of the money. So, I'd like Elise, I think. If I'm being really honest about it. Yeah, I like Elise, but I think he might end up at United. And his injury record does concern me. But like we said last night in conversation, when he's on it, when he's in full flow, he's a very, very good talent. Would you bring in Nkapie? The reason I didn't say Nkapie was he's not going to leave Leverkusen. Leverkusen have given assurances to Xabi Alonso that their star players will be kept. They may sell one. The sporting director came out and said that their model kind of means that they sell one, reinvest that money in 2 or 3 more, and blah, blah, blah. And they're already talking about Florian Wirtz at Bayern maybe in 2025. So I don't think Nketiah will leave. So that's why I didn't bring him up. Saw a photo, looked like, saw a Pacho light slot announcement. Then unliked it, probably because his agent told him to be quiet. So I've got to be honest, I've seen the name Pacho in our chat. Fill me in. I have no idea who he is. You guys are so much better at giving me this information about players from around Europe that I don't have a clue about. Like, who the hell is Pacho? I thought somebody initially was trying to say Pancho from that show that used to be on. What was it called? What was it called that Pancho was in? Dirty Sanchez, yes. I thought somebody miswrote the word Pancho at first. He is a Frankfurt centre back. Cool. There you go. Yeah, cool. I don't know anything about him, so I wouldn't have a clue. Pancho is a shot by me. There you go. One of the lads I know is quite good mates with the other guy who used to be in Dirty Sanchez. What's his name? What was his name? I can't remember. It's not that important. What do I think of Tony as Darwin's replacement? I don't think Ivan Toney's worth £250,000 a week, and that's what I'd seen. Not Pritchard. Is it Pritchard? Is it Pritchard? What? It is Pritchard, yeah. That he knows. My wife just shouted in. Yeah, it's Pritchard. There you go. I don't think he's worth £250,000 a week. And what is he now? 27, Ivan Toney? 27, 28. And with the transfer fee that would be involved there as well. Somebody said something to me before I went live, and I haven't seen if this is true or not. Did Jamie Carragher say that he would have preferred Thomas Frank than Arne Slot as the Liverpool coach? Somebody mentioned that to me before I came live, but I didn't have a chance to check it out. Isak is better. I'd much prefer Isak. Much prefer Isak over Tony. Watkins, again, there's no way Villa are going to sell Watkins if they get in the Champions League. It was Tuchel, he said. I swear I read an article that... Okay, Tuchel. I knew he'd said it about Tuchel, by the way. But I swear I'd seen this... 1 second. I'm reading through my own notes here just in case. Yeah, I knew he had said it about Thomas Tuchel, to be fair. But... I swear this was... I don't know. It doesn't matter anyway. Where am I going with this? Sorry, 1 sec. Okay, I've done that. Okay. So James Pearce was writing about that little incident yesterday with Salah, and this is what he wrote. The flashpoint started with Salah annoyed that he had remained on the bench for so long, seemingly reluctant to shake Klopp's hand as he preferred to come on. Words were exchanged before Klopp found fellow substitutes Darwin Núñez and Joe Gomez more willing to embrace him. As the incident continued, Klopp initially stepped away from it and focused his attention on the field before walking back towards Salah and getting something else off his chest, What followed was completely unacceptable, as Salah, usually so mild-mannered, vented his spleen towards his manager, throwing his arms up and pointing in Klopp's direction. It took Nunez, the most unlikely of peacemakers, to step in and calm his teammate down. Is anybody else amazed by quite how much column inches this has gotten compared to Anthony Taylor not refereeing the game correctly? You know, I didn't really cop that at the time, and Connor said it to me during the watch-along, and I've watched back the incident. That's a disgrace, what Taylor did. And I don't see much energy from it. Now, to be fair, Match of the Day spoke about it. But Anthony Taylor has had an absolute stinker this season, and yet is going to be England's representative at the Euros, or one of them, refereeing. It's unacceptable. Like, he made up the rules of the game there yesterday. Calling on a physio and nobody wanted a physio. Cody Gakpo, if Cody Gakpo had have put that ball in the net, there would have been all hell, because they would have had to find a way to not use the laws of the game, but they'd have tried a way to rule that goal out. And that was at 2-2. So I didn't really cop it too much yesterday during the watch-along, but I watched it back and it's shocking. Absolutely shocking. And something needs to happen about refereeing decisions now, because they're getting too much power. It's nonsense. Something needs to happen, because it's getting worse and worse and worse. And any poll you look at from fans, they're losing belief in VAR. And it's because of the officials who are operating the system. And this weekend is no different. For instance, today, did you guys see the North London derby? Declan Rice kicks the leg of the Spurs player. Michael Oliver could not have had a better position. He was 6 yards away, directly looking at it, and does this, which we all know is the universal symbol for no foul, no penalty. Then VAR says, you need to have a look at that, mate. And then he goes over, takes one quick look at the monitor and gives a penalty. But he's seen it in real time, 6 yards away from his face. And it took VAR to intervene. Now, juxtapose that with what happened in the Chelsea-Villa game, where, again, this time you've got Craig Houlden, who's looking directly at the challenge at the back post, where the Chelsea player and the Villa player are tangling with each other. One arm goes around, the Chelsea player then shoves them, headed back across goal, goal scored, referee awards the goal. Referee points that way and awards the goal, and VAR sticks its nose in yet again to replay the game when the ref seen it. The ref seen it and had a perfect view of it and made his decision on the pitch. So where's the clear and obvious? It's absolute horseshit. They're making this shit up as they go along. It's disgusting to see. Both those incidents, both those referees were in perfect positions, had a great vision of the incident, and for whatever reason made their decision, and that decision was then changed. One of them I agree with. I think Michael Oliver, how he didn't give the penalty in the first place, I don't know, because it was blatant that Declan Rice kicked the leg. And then you've got the incident, the Forest game a few weeks ago, where there was 3 potential penalties, again none given. It's just time and time and time and time again, and they just keep getting away with it. And I have to stomach Gary Neville telling us all to be nice to referees and that clubs can't speak out and that we need to protect referees. No, we don't. We need to protect the game, Gary. We need to protect the game. Tony has 1 year on his contract and will be available for 30 to 40 million. Isak cost 80. Yeah, but Isak's a better fit, in my opinion, Pranav. And the fact that we have to think about things in a cheap way pisses me off, because we're Liverpool Football Club. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong, bro. We know what our owners are like. But the fact that we couldn't just go, well, this guy's the best fit, let's do that. You know, we're programmed as Liverpool fans now to think in a cheap way. Any shows coming to Cork? Don't know, James. Need to figure out a venue, and then maybe, you know. I don't know Cork well enough to know where would be a good spot to do it or not. I'm very, very surprised that the Dublin show isn't selling well, because Belfast is flying, like, really well. But some people said to me Dublin's just an expensive city to go out in, to book a hotel in, and maybe that's the case. But Cork and Galway are probably two cities I do want to come and see, yes. Right, we're 255 likes away. I'm going to stay on for another half an hour. So if you're happy to stay on, stay on. We'll keep chatting and see if we can figure out where we're at. Really would appreciate it if we can get up to 1,000 likes, guys. So do hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Why is the super chat function not working? I can't, mate. I've no idea. What you should see at the bottom of the chat bar is a little $sign thing. Some countries don't have the ability to do it. I don't understand the ins and outs of it. I'm a bit of a technophobe on loads of things. That's why I have a Connor and a Ben. Nothing will happen until nothing will happen with refs until what? Oh, 115 is done. Sorry, Manchester City. I didn't realise what you were saying there at first. Craig, correct me if I'm wrong, but refereeing was fine before they brought in VAR to the Prem. Well, I don't think it was fine. You know, we all had decisions we didn't agree with. But I tell you what the difference was for me, Liverpool Prophet. People were willing to accept a mistake when the ref didn't have multiple camera angles and three lads sitting in Stockley Park dissecting every movement and every frame. We were all willing to go, okay, that was a marginal offside call. Maybe the linesman got it wrong, or maybe the ref got this wrong. People were a lot more forgiving. But now we were promised a product that was going to remove the debates, that was going to give us the factual decisions. And it's made it worse. And it's made the distrust of referees worse. And it's made the product worse. The visual spectacle worse. It's just ruining it. And now you've got a stage where fans can't celebrate. Players can't celebrate. We're programmed now to wait until we see if something 7 phases ago is offside or somebody was pushed. They're destroying a game that one of the criticisms from people who didn't watch football was that, one, it was low scoring, and now they found a way to make it more low scoring by trying to rule out everything if anything is slightly off. And there's too much grey area where referees are making stuff up as they go along. We've got a hypocrisy of handball rule. We've got an offside situation where we're still scratching our heads on. And all VAR has done is mean that the likes of Mike Dean, Dermot Gallagher and all of these other referees, Mark Clattenburg and all get little side jobs now afterwards. And we have to listen to their crap every week. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. And it didn't do what it was promised to do, which was remove the debate. It's only increased it and given a cottage industry or more content to TV channels or others to let's hear what former referee has to say. Shock horror, a former referee pretty much agrees with his mates. Surprise. So can we listen to the audio then? No, you can't have the audio. Why can't we have the audio? We'll get back to you on that one. No consistency, no repercussions, all of them out, said Scott Engerson. Can I get a shout out to Harley, a little red from Cork? Of course, my pleasure, Paul. Harley, young lady, how are we? And thank you for watching, and most importantly, thank you for picking Liverpool. You won't regret that decision. So I hope you had a lovely weekend, Harley, and thank you, Paul, for the super chat, mate. I was incensed by Taylor calling on the physio. He should be dropped from the Premier League list as a punishment. You can make even more of those in recent weeks, mate. It's ridiculous. Again, when we heard the audio of the Jeremy Doku incident, I still can't believe what I heard. I still cannot believe the VAR said, so they both went in high there, right? No. And nobody pulled them up on it. Nobody went, no, sorry, mate, you're absolutely seeing things there. One of them went in high and the other fellow was standing there while he was getting kicked in the chest. But no, penno, play on. It's... Craig, the game is still 90 minutes. And? Your point is what, Colin? My point is, players are standing around for 2 and 3 minutes going cold, while referees are looking at something that I can see with my naked eye is on or offside in a second, or a decision that I need to see once to know if it was a foul or not. And you've got more injuries this season than ever before as well, or certainly an increase in muscle injuries this year. So people going cold standing around isn't helping the situation either. And Ange Postecoglou pinpointed this as one reason why he hates it. It's slowing down the game. Managers want to get on with things quickly. So they've brought in systems where now the ball boys can't even give the balls to the players anymore. They have to be left on cones around the edge of the pitch to try and speed it up. Where the one thing that can speed the game up is VAR not being there. You can have a semi-automated offside technology and goal line technology. If you want to make it even better, make goal line technology all the way around the pitch. So we know if the balls are in or out for crosses or a throw and something that leads to a goal where we're unsure. And then let the refs get on with it after that. You know, remove the human error by putting in the automated systems. And then I think we'd all be a lot happier. The problem is that the refs are not ex-players and the VAR are also refs. So, you can see in rugby how it's so much better applied. The whole video refereeing system. Ref turns around, looks at the big screen inside the stadium. He has the video referee in his ear. People in the stadium know what's going on. And they look at the incident and they tells the ref, I want you to look at this and this. It's all very clear, very precise and very straightforward. Craig, I think the problem is fans are not united and they're relying on rivalry to make people forget about these bad decisions. Oh, dude, I said that every week. That's how they keep getting away with it. Because let's say Anthony Taylor has a stinker and rules out a penno for us. Well, then United fans and City fans and Chelsea fans and Arsenal fans and Everton fans and everyone's going to come in and go, ha, 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 ha. Look at you moaning, ha, 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 crying, whinging, ha, 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 ha. And then 95% of the footballing fandom in England is fine with the decision. It only impacts a small amount. And then the next week, it happens to United, and we all go in and go, ha, 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 ha. Yeah, you're right. We need to look at this and go, collectively, this isn't working. And by doing that, we've just emboldened them to keep making these stupid decisions because we know that it's only going to impact a small amount and the rest of football fans don't really give a shit because it's not their team. What positions do you think we need to strengthen in the summer? Said the detective. Centre back, defensive midfield, winger, striker. And you can probably make another argument for a full back as well. But they're the ones for me. Exactly, Craig. We got shafted by Spurs. The amount of classless rivals that came in was crazy. I know. And then we had all the stuff about, replay. Has the game been replayed yet? Ha, ha, ha. Oh, so we're all just happy then with absolutely incorrect decisions that could impact in tens of millions of pounds in the outcome of it. We're all just happy with that then, are we? Like that's grand. Because it's Liverpool, we all go, what about I promise you one thing, if that happened to United, every United fan would be saying exactly what we said. If it happened to Arsenal, every Arsenal fan would be saying exactly what we said. They're allowing the game to be bastardised and ruined by people because they know that tribalism is their cover, their protection. Jamie Carragher said Liverpool should have suggested Thomas Tuchel for the job over Slot. What do you think of Jamie's opinion? Well, obviously I respect it as a football person, and you know, I disagree. I think all you'd be doing there is giving us a watered down version of the German superstar that was leaving us. And I don't think Thomas Tuchel would make the connection with the Liverpool fan base in the same way that Arne Slot will make the connection with the fan base. Because, like it or not, when you talk about managing Liverpool, it is a little bit different. I'm not saying it's better or worse, but it's different to other clubs because that connection to the fans is vital. And Liverpool fans hero worship managers more than any players. You know, even now, look at the way we talk back. We're talking about Paisley, Shankly, Fagan, Rafa, Kenny. It is a little bit different. And I don't think Thomas Tuchel would make that connection to the Liverpool fan base. Maybe because he's already been in there at Chelsea as well, and those two clubs they're very different in their outlook of the way the fans look at the world. Or I just don't think it's a good fit personally. And I don't think Tuchel's that good that it deserves potential upheaval to make it work. We are only 125 likes short of 1,000 now. So if you haven't, please do drop a like on the video. Craig, imagine if we got the right call on the Odegaard handball, Diaz goal against Spurs, and the penalty against Doku. Yeah, we'd have won the league. Factually, I'm saying that we would have won the league because this capitulation wouldn't have happened. Now, look, there are other things we can say that if we had have done X, Y, and Z, we would have won the league. But factually, that Odegaard incident was a handball. Doku should have been a penalty, and the other goal was absolutely ludicrous. So, you're right. And do you know what else doesn't escape me? Those three incidents, when they all happened, were against teams that were at the top end of the table at the time. The Spurs game, Spurs were leading. If my memory's right, Spurs were winning the Premier League at that point. They were ahead in the table, at least ahead of us. That incident happened when we played a title rival. Then we go and play Arsenal at home, and Odegaard does that, and we don't get the handball penalty for it that could have won the game. Then we play Manchester City, another title rival, and shock horror, we don't get a blatant penalty. So, you know, call us all conspiracy theorists all you want, but, you know, I'll present you with exhibit A, B, and C in big games where I don't even think these are debatable decisions. They're black and white. And what really riles me about the two penalty incidents is no referee being sent to the monitor for either of them. The VAR officials didn't even believe that added up to sending the ref to the monitor. Because they knew if they sent the ref to the monitor for the Odegaard handball or that Doku challenge, they know 100% that the referee is going to go point to the spot and give the penalty. But we're just supposed to keep sucking it up. And as I say, I'm saying this as a Liverpool fan, but I'm sure a United fan or a Forest fan or an Everton fan will have their own incidents. We just don't know about them because, you know, we focus on our clubs. Mark my words, Xabi Alonso to Real Madrid and Trent. Why would I mark your words when I don't know who the hell you are, dude? You know, you go away. Come back in. One, when you're not hiding behind a silly little username with a balaclava photograph. And two, when we care. Like, nobody cares. Mark my words. Who are you? Mark your words. We don't know who you are to mark those words. Why do you think 4-3-2-1 is the solution? It's 4-2-3-1, not 4-3-2-1. Then 4-3-3. Look, they're not a million miles apart, to be honest with you. Both of them will involve a box midfield on occasion, in possession. I think the reason I like the idea of 4-2-3-1 so much is I think we have to find a way to get Trent into midfield, because he's evolving into a player that we need in the middle of the pitch. If you're going to look at the caliber of passing and the way he impacts games. Now, Klopp has, in the system Klopp uses, Trent does drift into the middle, but we're left with a gaping hole on the right side that has been exploited many times. So in this 4-2-3-1 system, if you put Trent in there with, I don't know, for argument's sake, let's say McAllister, you've got one person in there who's the press resistant, counter pressing, break the ball up, give it to Trent, let Trent do his thing. And then you've got your defensive midfielder in that system who, when defending, can drop back in to make the back five, or when attacking, the other double pivot can go forward and join the attack, but still leave you with enough of a base to cover defensively. That's why I like it, because with Trent and wanting to get Trent into midfield, that's the only way I can think of in my own stupid little non-top level coach brain that we can get Trent into midfield. That's why I like the system, and that's why I like the fact that it's the system Slot uses. I think it will work for us. Trent midfield don't work, Craig. He's crossing balls in the middle of the pitch to nobody. Then I'm going to be honest with you. Now, this is not going to go down well. If we're at a point where we're saying Trent isn't going to play in midfield, then I'm at a point to say that he's not starting, because I want Conor Bradley at right back. I think Trent can play in midfield, but I want Conor Bradley at right back. So if we're having a conversation where we all don't think Trent can play in midfield, and I'm saying Trent's on the bench because I don't like him at right back. I don't. I prefer Conor Bradley. I think Conor Bradley has more balance to his game on that side. But I do think Trent can play in midfield. 53 more likes is all we need, by the way. Trent needs to voice to Slot that he wants to play in midfield before he gets chucked to right back. Some people saying Trent needs to be sold. I don't want to sell Trent. There was a time where I talked about selling Trent, and I'm going back to the Real Madrid game where we capitulated and Trent was walking around like he didn't care. But this season, Trent came back with a new vibe about him that I've bought into, to be honest with you. So yeah, I think there's a bit more needs to come from Trent, but whatever way we look at it, you can't deny the lad's ball striking ability, his passing ability. If you can add a little bit more to that in a forward-looking sense, I think it's worth giving him a go in midfield. I'd sell Jones before I'd sell Trent. Oh, so would I. Absolutely. 100%. Craig, will you do a 4 o'clock stream tomorrow? Can't remember. Let me have a look at my schedule. One sec, mate. I have it down on my list and it says news dependent. So I might be on a 4 tomorrow. It is on the schedule, but it says news dependent. So it depends on what happens, you know. But I will be on tomorrow night, 100%, at 8:30. And there will be a news video coming out tomorrow. Oh, I should also remind you guys about our Clips channel. So I know these longer form contents are great if you're watching them live and we're in together, but we clip up a lot of stuff as well and put it on the Anfield Agenda Clips channel, and it's heading towards 30,000 subscribers. So if you haven't, please do subscribe to Anfield Agenda Clips. And we also do our social media reaction on the Clips channel after every game. So on a match day in Anfield Agenda, we do the watch along, the post-match show, and the player ratings video. Then I record a social media reaction where Connor goes onto Twitter and finds posts from during the game to see how fans were reacting to real-time events. And then I do it on the Clips channel as I react to them. So that's a video that we do for every match day on there. So yeah, do check it out if you haven't already subscribed to the Clips channel. Sorry, I was just removing somebody who's just been a dope. Ryan said, love the channel so much. Look forward to these streams. I'm sick with flu right now and you're cheering me up. I'm sorry to hear that you've got the flu, my man. I hope you feel better soon. I don't know, whatever I had last month, I still don't know what it was, but I've never been as sick in my life. Honestly, there was 5 days there I was bedridden and I couldn't do a thing. I couldn't like even sit up. It was the worst bout of whatever it was. It was horrible. I want to see Craig at a Sidemen charity match. So there's a couple of reasons why you probably won't see that happen. One of them is the other manager who does stuff with them, because he wouldn't one, have the balls to show up in the stadium at the same time as me, and two, he'd throw his toys out of the pram if that was to happen. But I said this before, I'd happily do these things for charity, no problem, and show you what a real team talk looks like. But I never get asked any of these things, you know. Not trying this to sound like I'm being bitter at him, because I don't care. You know, I do my own thing, but I never get asked to do podcasts or any opportunities, charity stuff, or, you know, we just kind of get ignored and we just go about doing our own thing. Even when people are looking for Liverpool fans for stuff, nobody ever comes near us, really. I think 2 people have over the years. One of the documentaries, Calm Before the Storm, or what was the name of it? The one about Kloppo that was at the end of the storm. They used some of our content in that for the documentary, and they asked us, which was absolutely sound. But yeah, other than that, I don't really get asked to do any of these things, you know? So I just carry on doing my own thing and see what happens. Is the criticism on Jones fair after coming back from injury, not forgetting his good performances earlier this season? I think, Abdullah, when you show what you can do, mate, those expectations go a bit higher again. So it is a valid counterpoint to say, are we being a bit too harsh? Perhaps. But I don't think we had a long enough sample size of Jones to think that that's the norm for him. You know, it looks like that was almost a purple patch, and it's not the norm. So I don't know what the correct answer is, but I do appreciate the point you're making and where you're coming from. And, you know, I've certainly been very harsh at times on Curtis Jones over the years. Missed my super chat. Sorry, Ben. Trent needs to be in the middle 100%, and we need strikers who can finish the chances he creates. And that's from Ben G. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate you, mate. I like the idea of him being in the middle, in the four. Like, if regular viewers of the show will know, I've said many times, I don't know what a Liverpool midfield looks like with Trent in there, but now I do. If Arne Slot comes in, I can absolutely see in a 4-2-3-1 how Trent goes in there. Great show, LFC Baldies forever, said James Delea. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you. This is why I love doing the live shows, by the way, and this is why we're doing the Dublin and Belfast and Cork, Dublin and Belfast, Cardiff and Liverpool. My favourite part about them shows is getting to meet people and remembering faces to names. So I don't actually worry about the show part. I look forward to when the shows are over and I get to have a drink with you all and chat with you and take photos with you and learn about why you watch, and I love all that. That fills me full of such pride when I get to step off the stage and go, oh my god, you're X or Y or wow, and then you hear these lovely stories about people watching, and it's so cool. It's so cool. It's my favourite thing about them. I think of them as meet and greets more than anything else. The shows just happen, but the meet and greets are the part that I look forward to. You have one major thing against you, Craig. You're a dub. We don't call you empty heads for nothing. Well, to be fair to me, I am a dub. Yes, I am. But I've lived outside of Dublin for more time in my life now than I've lived inside of Dublin. For instance, I've been here in Wexford now for 17 years in Wexford alone. So I'll always think of myself as a dub, to be fair. But It's been a while since I've lived up there. It's because you don't toe the line. I don't see where the line is to be toed. I approach every stream, every show, every season with the intention of I want the best for Liverpool Football Club. And if I don't think the best is happening and somebody needs to be called out for it, I try to call them out. I try to do it in a reasonable way. It doesn't always work, but my intent is always I want the best for the club. And there's too many people who are yes men and are cowering and toe the company line and are afraid to speak out against the owners or against other people. And I don't know why. Like, okay, maybe we haven't gotten the opportunities that I might have gotten if I was a lick arse. Maybe. But I like being able to look in the mirror and know that my opinion is my valid opinion, and, you know, I can hold my head up high and think, I say what I want to say and I say what I need to say, and I've got my platform to do it, and I'm lucky. So yeah, I'd rather be this way, but I'd love to do one of those charity games. I would. I'd love to do a Sidemen. My daughter loves the Sidemen and watches their videos all the time. Of course I'd love to do a charity game where I coach them. It'd be a pleasure. But, you know, these things, I don't get these opportunities. So what can I do except just carry on being me and be appreciative for what I have? Do you get noticed in public often? I don't go out very much. It's a weird situation, right? Because I don't not go out because I'm not bothered about going out. But I don't go outside much. I haven't even been in a supermarket in about 4 months. The only times I go out is when I travel to my psychologist, if I'm going to the airport to go somewhere, or if I have a show that I've got tickets to. That's the only times I leave the house. Other than that, I might go to my back garden and sit there, but I'm just, I'm a very introverted person that has been on my own a lot of my life because I'm an only child and I'm used to my own company. So yeah, yes, I've got, like, for instance, at the airport, yeah, it shocked us. You know, loads of people were coming up to us and asking for a photo and a chat, and it was lovely. It was lovely. I mean, I do it all day long, but I'm not somebody who's very sociable. I don't go to pubs or stuff like that. I like my gaff. I like my comforts. I just like being with my family. Buy Isak. I don't care about the price. Stats don't lie. I would like him. Lucas, man, I would like him. I don't know if it's realistic, but I've seen enough of him at Newcastle to see why they bought him. You know, he's a very easy player to like. I'm in Enniscorthy. Where are you? Gorey. I used to live in Davidstown, Kyle, which I'm sure if you're from Enniscorthy you know only too well. Lived out there. When I first moved out to Wexford, we got a council house in Davidstown, and that was a culture shock coming from Dublin, mate, I can tell you that. But yeah, now we live in Gorey. Get some sunshine on that head. Oh, don't you worry, my back garden's well set up for the summer, mate. We put a deck out last year, and yeah, it's good to go. I love a bit of sun, me. I love sitting out in the back garden or going on holidays. 2-2 in the Sporting Porto game. Thank you for that update, Citizen Jones. I knew that they were playing tonight, actually, and I was going to check in on that score. Would you rather City or Arsenal win? 100% Arsenal. Look, I get why other people may have another opinion, but I still come back to what I said all along. City are spitting in the face of everybody, in my opinion, with the way that with the charges and all. I can't get past that. I always understand that people go, Arsenal fans will be, unbearable, but that's what we're supposed to do. Like, I don't mind. I have no problem getting bantered by fans. Good, genuine banter. Like, if Arsenal win the league and League Gunner starts messaging me, for instance, going, yeah, league champions, mate, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. He's my mate. That's what I expect of him. But I have respect for Arsenal. And, sportingly, I feel no problem saying, congratulations. Over the course of the season, you won it. Fair play to you. You deserved it. No issues with that. But I will in my ass say that to City, because I don't believe a bit of it. So for me, it's really easy. I'd rather Arsenal win the league. Gory's small is a grand town. I love Gory. Honestly, I live in a council estate in Gory as well, and I don't think I'd ever move. Like, I'd never have any want to move to a bigger house or anything. I like where I live. I like the housing estate I live. I like the people in the estate. I love the town. Gory's great. Like, I want to move to a sunnier climate at times, but if I'm in Ireland, I'm living in Gory because I love it. I'm watching Gyökeres right now. Guy is deadly. 2 goals in a minute. Wow. Yeah, I mean, obviously when he was at Coventry, he was doing really well, but I didn't really know if he was going to make that leap forward. And now, you know, he's gone to Sporting and done very well. Gunners have a tradition. Yes, they do. And I also, you know, I just think Arsenal are a classy club. And I have no problem losing out competitively to a team. You know, that's sport. So, yeah. You know, if Arsenal win it, I'll congratulate their fans, take the banter, and no problem with it. When I said it was a small town, I meant it in a good way. I live in a big city. Oh, I can't do big cities. They scare me. I'm too, not agoraphobic, but I can't do... Like, London scares the shit out of me. New York would scare the bejesus out of me. Yeah, Gory's perfect. You know, big enough, has everything I need. People are sound, close enough to my wife's parents who live up in Dublin. I've said this loads, but it's mental. I can leave my house, and the first roundabout or set of traffic lights that I will see leaving my house in Gory if I'm going to the airport is at the roundabout at Dublin Airport when I come off the motorway. I love that. Zip on the motorway up to Dublin. I'll be at the airport in an hour and 10 minutes. I love it. It's brilliant. Sweden will have a big problem at the Euros with Gyökeres, Isak, Larsson, Kulusevski. That's a good problem though, bro. You know, that's first world headaches right there. I'm looking at Ireland and praying that Evan Ferguson can carry us in the future. Like, that's not a bad headache for Sweden to have. Craig, how can you talk for so long? At times I can barely speak for 5 to 10 seconds without forgetting what I'm talking about. Oh, don't ever think that I don't talk myself into an alleyway sometimes, mate. I sometimes start a sentence and I don't know where I'm going with it. Sometimes I finish the stream and I don't remember some of the stuff I've said either, but I think I'm Irish and we can talk. If Salah leaves, who's going to play in the right wing? Galileo Beast, thank you for that super chat. Look, we can go through the names that have been linked to us. Bakayoko, Olise, Neto, Iñaki Williams, and I'm sure there's probably 4 or 5 more. Chiesa was another one that was linked. I don't know who the best fit is. Truly, I don't know the correct answer. But I trust Michael Edwards to get it right, and Richard Hughes. Would Van Dijk or Salah join a Premier League rival? I'd like to think no, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I'd like to think no. You know, I know people will say Salah was at Chelsea, Virgil was at Southampton and all. Like, I get that, but I don't know if they'd go from Liverpool to another one. That's why I said when I'd seen the link, and for those coming in who maybe haven't seen the stream title or what we're talking about, the Daily Mirror ran a story that said that Borussia Dortmund are interested in Virgil van Dijk to become their new leader when Mats Hummels departs, if indeed Virgil leaves Liverpool. And I said I could see him in a Dortmund jersey. Like, I could see him doing 3 or 4 years there at the tail end of his career, because it's another great club with a great fan base, and I could see it happening. I'm glad you called out the Salah backside lickers. He's not done the club proud lately. We're better off selling him. Look, as a player, look, the Salah stuff, as you said, he's done the club proud, but the fanboy thing, what annoys me about it is because they're shitting on other Liverpool fans. Like, and we're actual Liverpool fans. We love Mo, but we're Liverpool fans. People who are just fans of a player, it's disingenuous the way they approach all of this. Because it's grand when you're all lovey-dovey and praising, but as soon as a bit of criticism comes in, they lose their minds, and it's disgusting, some of the stuff they come out with. Right, it is 10:30, and I've not seen anything new really come in. So somebody sent me a message from the Discord group to say that Jamie Carragher did say Thomas Frank. I know he's talked about Tuchel previously, but this is recently. I read a piece that said he talked about Thomas Frank, and somebody in our Discord servers just confirmed that Carragher did indeed talk about, say Thomas Frank may have been a better fit. News about what? Oh, so we were just wondering if the late newspaper stories were going to have anything big in them. They come out about 10:30ish every night. When is the Tottenham preview coming? It is a Sunday game, so it'll be Friday. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, 10:30 most nights, between 10:15 and 10:30, the headlines for tomorrow's newspapers usually come out, where you can often get a little jump ahead to the news for tomorrow. But I've not seen anything trigger any messages or Google alerts. So I'm going to say goodnight to you all, and thank you for another lovely stream. Really appreciate your time as always. I will see you maybe at 4 tomorrow, but definitely at 8:30 tomorrow. And yeah, do drop a like on the stream, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to check out our Clips channel as well. Tickets are on sale for the Dublin and Belfast shows if you'd like to come along, and I hope to see you there. But yeah, good stream. Thank you guys. Talk